Hey guys, what's going on? We're at the 2012 ConX, and I'm with the legendary Glenn Morshower. How are we doing?
Ooh, legendary.
Legendary. How are we doing, sir?
I'm really well, buddy.
Now, this is a pleasure and honor because I'm a big fan of Star Trek. Where to begin? How did you get involved with that project?
You know, like any other actor, a character actor, I went in and auditioned for a role, and it went really well, and they liked me enough to call me back in for another role, and that one went well, and they called me back in, and I still hadn't been hired. And I think it was the third or fourth time, once they hired me, it kind of took off, and I wound up doing 5 different characters on the show, which is a rare thing to be able to be on all of the different ones as a different character each
That's
time.
a lot of screen time. Yeah.
It was really a blessing and a wonderful experience.
Now, talk to me about this photo. What was it like? This one. What was it like to work with Wesley Crusher?
Well, as you'll see here, we primarily feature Wesley's buttocks. His buttocks region is prominently featured in this photo. There was no interplay in that regard in the show.
Thank God.
But you know, I only worked with him. Will Wheaton, I worked with him, I think, 2 days together. He was a nice kid, but now that kid is 39, I've heard, which is mind-blowing.
And I bet it was a pleasure and honor.
It was, though. I mean, you know, you understand that they would put us in these beautiful little girdles to make us look like we had all these fabulous physiques and worked out all the time.
In the 24th century.
Yeah, it's the only time that I can ever remember having a perfect V-cut for a show.
Out of all the jobs in the Star Trek, what was your most favorite one and why?
Bar none, the role that I did in Enterprise with Scott Bakula for 2 reasons. The primary one is the most memorable show I ever did because my father died right in the middle of shooting.
I remember you telling me.
And so it was a really heartfelt week for me because he had not been sick. He dropped out of a heart attack. And the Star Trek people were so gracious to me that I just won't ever forget how they treated me during that shoot.
And you know, that's a great thing because when you're at work, you know, you're trying to keep your focus on work, and then when something dramatic like that happens, it kind of throws you for a loop. And it was really nice that they did all those nice things for you, and that's like really a class act on their part. I mean, that's just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think
because not all people are like that.
Anyone would naturally have been supportive, but they gave me 4 days to fly back to Texas, bury my father, and then come back and go to work. And it was really a good role. The role was Sheriff McCready in Enterprise, and he's actually an old Western-looking sheriff, and the show was wonderful. So I still see it in reruns from time to time.
That's awesome. I remember that like the back of my hand. Next question: if you had to pick your favorite character from just the Star Trek Enterprise crew, what would be your favorite? Besides your own character, your next favorite?
Probably Data.
Why Data?
And Brent Spiner and I are friends because as an actor I can so appreciate the techno-babble, the jargon. He had these words that were 19 miles long, and he said all of them seamlessly as though it were his regular vocabulary. I just know that as an actor he had arguably the toughest job of anyone, and his execution was brilliant.
And he had to say it like automatic and perfect because as an android he has to say it absolutely perfect.
Right. And that to me is impressive.
And if he doesn't get it perfect, then they got to cut and do it again because a robot cannot make any errors in his computer voice.
Right. And you know, all I could think as I would watch him work is, Brent, better you than me, brother. Better you than me.
This has been a pleasure. Last question. I see in this picture you got to work with Captain Picard quite a few times.
Yes.
What was it like? It's a 2-part question. What was it like to work with the captain, and what was it like to work with Patrick Stewart?
Well, Patrick is a consummate gentleman. You know, he's just a brilliant British actor, and I guess the Brits are known for being very, very polite. I just enjoyed him immeasurably, and he sort of helped me understand that I would still have a career once I went completely bald, because I started losing my hair. That particular photograph, can you actually come over and look at this photograph? This photograph was taken on my 30th birthday, and I was just beginning to thin out on top, and from my view I'm looking down at his entirely bald head, and I thought, well, once it goes, it looks like I still might accidentally have a career.
Now, when you guys were in character, what was it like to work with Captain Picard?
You know, I've been in so many different situations like this that I really didn't analyze it. I just met him with the truth of the dialogue that was on the page, and he did the same with me, and it made perfect sense. Prior to the time that I did the show, I was not necessarily a Trekkie. I liked the show, but I wasn't a devotee. I certainly got up to the bridge and frankly didn't want to look like a fool because I didn't know all of the things about the ship that a typical fan would know. So I guess if I had been a fan, it would have been an even bigger deal for me than it was. But I was an actor, and to me it was a job.
To me, as a fan, I think it would be a big deal. Even if you're on the bridge for 5 seconds,
right.
It's the bridge of the Starship Enterprise. Even if I just get to walk from out of the room and into the turbo lift, it would have been an honor and a pleasure. So.
Yeah, and it was that. It's just that I did so much of it was brand new to me. I mean, I actually, if I may admit this, I actually said, okay, now this area is called what? And someone said, Glenn, that would be the bridge.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you know, there are no wrong.
He's looking at me like that's sacrilege. That is such sacrilege, Shower. I can't believe you just said that.
What I was going to say was, I said whenever you're filming, there are no wrong questions. Like I would probably do the same thing. I would have asked every single question to make sure you get the right information.
Right.
So my last question is, if you had to pick your favorite captain out of all the captains in the Star Trek era, which one would be your favorite captain?
Scott Bakula.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why him?
Because I think he's an amazing man. I did Quantum Leap with him before, and to me, of all of them, he was the most emotionally available. He was the most down to earth. He's the guy you would expect to be in a barn with, milking cows and baling hay.
Awesome.
Where, you know, just a regular working stiff, and that I like that about a person.
Awesome. Well, Glenn, this has been a pleasure and an honor. And this is a ConX 2012. It's the very last day, guys. So if you're not here, get here as soon as possible and check out some cool stuff. So we'll see you later.